All right, guys, we are interviewing my coworker, Courtney. Courtney, bring everyone up to speed about a little bit about yourself, just whatever you want to share.
Short and sweet. I have done social media marketing for about 10 years now. I actually did it right out of high school. Worked for a couple small businesses doing social media marketing. Went to college, got my bachelor's degree in communications and a minor in journalism and media communications. So that's kind of where that social media aspect comes in. And since graduating in 2019, I've been doing social media for some different companies and most recently started my own business in September. So I'm about 6 months into entrepreneurship, and I had clients prior to starting my own business, but September was when I finally quit my full time job and went all in.
So I have an unfair advantage because I work with you, so I know a lot about you. But for those who don't know about you, why did you start your business? Like, what was that reason that you started?
So I've had financial experts and mentors tell me that once you get to a point in your career where you can potentially make as much money doing it for yourself as you can doing it for a company, that's kind of when you want to like jump ship sort of thing. So it's like you want to pull as close as you possibly can to like make as much as you possibly can to what your full-time job is making. And once you can like get there, that's when you should like leave your full-time job and pursue owning a business full time because that's basically when you can start working less hours and then making more money. And that's what we all want, right? To work less hours and make more money.
Yeah. So they said once you're making as much money as your full time job to leave your job.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's kind of like
Are
a
you
rule of
making
thumb.
that
I
much
think
money?
some finance, yeah, I'm making more. I actually my income now, as soon
More.
as I
Okay.
quit my full-time job, I am now making more by quite a bit than I was making prior to and working a full-time 40-hour week. And now I can work,
That was
25 to
the
35 hours a week. It was a private club here in
that
Austin.
was the other company you were working for, right? That was the what was it, a golf, it wasn't a golf course. It was
So
a
it was a private club, so it's kind of like it's like a golf course. A lot of times has like a private club like aspect to it, or if it's like a private course. This was basically a private club, but with no course. So it was essentially like a restaurant and
got it.
yeah, bar basically. Yeah. So I did all
So
their
I want to
social
know, how much
media.
money are you making?
I can't tell you that. No, I feel like it's one of those
How much
things
money are
though
you
that
making?
enough to survive. Which honestly, I feel like so in this honestly, I feel like in this day and age in 2024 with the cost of living right now, with inflation, like with what I'm making now, if I was making this pre-pandemic in 2020, it would be like a significant income. But I honestly think that now in 2024 with the cost of living and inflation and how much everything costs, I do feel like it's just a fair salary. I don't feel like it's like an exceptional amount of money. I do feel like it's enough to like live on. Obviously I bartend too. I bartend with you. I don't have to bartend, but it's one of those things that it's you're either making money or spending money, right? So like if I'm not at the bar making money on the weekends, I would probably be out somewhere spending money, and I would rather be making it than spending it. So
So my question is, and the reason I ask this is because I'm a bartender too, and the biggest thing that I struggle with bartending and growing a business is time, and I would say time. And so how do you go about that? How do you go about juggling your time bartending and then also client work? Like how do you like, because bartending can be stressful, especially on the weekends.
yeah, yeah,
It might
it's
take
definitely
one full day to recover.
yeah, it's definitely a time balancing and time management thing. I would say like my biggest like I don't want to say piece of advice or like takeaway, like my experience. I've worked three jobs for the last 2.5 years. Most people, if they work three jobs, one full time and then two part time jobs, they probably would be able to do it for like 6 months and then they would probably, tap out. I'm 2.5 years in of working the three jobs thing, and I kind of think it's one of those like um work ethic. I've always said like you can't teach work ethic. You either have it or you don't. You're either a hard worker or you're not. And so to balance the bar and running my own business, it's really important for me to use good time management skills. Sundays are my only like day off, but if I work Saturday night and I sleep until 3 p.m., I really only have a couple hours to do all my weekly like necessity things. That way I can like get to bed and work on Monday morning. So I definitely think the sleep schedule is the hardest part about balancing the two, is for sure the sleep schedule, just because, you're up till 4 or 5 a.m. on Friday and Saturdays. And then during the week, I try to be actively working between, I mean, not all the way from 9 to 5, but that's the general business day is from 9 to 5. So for the most
Yeah,
part, I'm periodically working between those hours.
you do have a good work ethic. Whenever you told me you work that many jobs, that many hours, I was like, damn, like you work more than I do. So I mean,
Yeah.
you have a very very strong work ethic. My biggest thing is what is it? What's it for? Like, what's your goal? What's pushing you to work that much and like
So I
push
think
yourself to that next level?
it's kind of honestly like multiple reasons. I think the top like two reasons though, the reasons why like I work so hard and I do have such good work ethic is number one, like my dream is to go to law school. That's like my ultimate goal. Like owning a business is amazing. I love the flexibility, but I think the opportunity to like make a difference in people's lives and like make a difference in the world, I think I would have a greater potential. And I think I'd be able to really like utilize all my skills and my education if I went to law school. So that's like the number one thing that's pushing me to work so hard. Obviously, law school is expensive. I want to have all my undergrad debt paid off before I start law school. So I'm like almost there with that. And then I want to be able to save up for law school. Law school's anywhere between $50,000 a year to $80,000 a year, and could even be more. But for the most part, 50 to 80 is what I've seen. I know UT, I think, is like 60 or 65 a year. So it's like I want to save up for that. So that's the number one reason I work so hard. And then the second reason is my family. So, my mom's a single mom and raised me and my two sisters and gave us, the best, life she could. And I've always said I just want to be able to like buy my mom a car or like pay off her
Hmm.
house or like, take her on a cruise or a trip to Europe. So I think the motivation to give back to my family, my mom, and then for my future goals of going to law school, that's really what pushes me to like the ultimate like level, I think.
Yeah, no, that's pretty inspiring. So the marketing agency, is that more of a stepping stone for your law school, or do you see that something like that's gonna last forever, like something you do, or maybe build a business around it and have other people work it?
I would love, so I definitely think there's a couple things I could do with it. I do think that I could start law school and I could ultimately like hire people to do the work that I am currently doing, and I could still have clients and still have like profits coming in every month. But I think also that even if I like kind of paused my business while I'm in law school, I think once I graduate with my law degree, that there would be a way for me to intertwine like the world of social media marketing and being an attorney, because there's a lot of work around, as far as being an attorney, there's different types of like law, with like copyright and what people are posting online. Like there's obviously laws that like protect people with their, information and their like product they're putting out there. So I think it's one
Yep.
of those things that I could see the two worlds intertwining, but I could also see me graduating with my law degree and just completely going that direction. But I think no matter which way it goes, I think that the work that I'm doing now, it's a stepping stone kind of, but I also think that it's just another part of my story. I think that what I'm learning now and like the values of like running my own business and like getting my clients and doing good work for them, I think that this will translate into how hard I work in law school and after law school. So I think it's just kind of just another part of my story. I hate to say stepping stone. It is kind of, but I hate to call it that because
Yeah,
I don't want to like
anything that gets you
discredit
to the
it.
next level is kind of a stepping stone. It's
Yeah,
not in a
it is.
bad way. We're not saying that you're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
use this as like, yeah.
yeah. No,
So
totally. Yeah.
the clients you got now, the biggest thing for, I know my niche really isn't agency owners, but I'm an agency owner myself. So I'm kind of curious, how did you go about getting your clients? Like, I'm curious about that question.
So networking for sure. Like it really is all about like who you know and like networking with people and meeting people that you wouldn't typically meet. I think putting yourselves in a position to meet different people. I think if you're going to like the same places and only interacting with the same people and you're like, why am I not expanding my business? I think if you're not like,
Hmm.
signing up for like networking events or going to different types of, restaurants or bars. I mean, I was actually at a bar just recently, just this week, and I met someone who potentially is interested in me running their social media. And so I think it's just really about like talking to people and networking. I honestly think that, and being able to communicate, my degree was in communications. I think that A lot of business owners, if they don't have good communication skills, I just think that their business can only go so far. Because if you're not able to effectively communicate with somebody as far as like the value, what you bring to the table, what you can offer their business, how you can improve their business, like what you can take off of their shoulders and you can like do for them. If you can't communicate that, then no one's going to hire you. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think
Yeah.
having that effective communication is like key.
Do you work with anyone, or do you have like a specific like niche you're working in, or you just like who's that ideal client for you?
So I was actually just talking to my sister about this too. So I kind of feel like, so right now my client is an author and attorney. So she did go to law school, she practiced law, and now she's an author, and I absolutely love working for her. She has been amazing. I worked for her on a part-time basis until I took my business full time. And now, I have like increased, I wouldn't say full time, but now I've increased my hours with her and I'm working a lot more for her. Um, Outside of working for an author and attorney, I think the main areas I would like to work in and ones I've considered working in is like as far as a gym or some type of athletic performance type of facility. I have previously worked for a chiropractor office. I've previously done work for an acupuncturist. And then, a gluten-free bakery is somebody I've worked for recently. So I think I've done, a lot of different areas in social media marketing, but I think I would love to do, like a plastic surgeon's office. That would be a
Hmm.
target audience for me. I think that I would enjoy making that content and I think I would be good at it. And like just the aesthetics around like a plastic surgery or, just like a spa kind of like a vibe, some type of spa where it's like
Yeah.
hair, nails, makeup, that kind of thing.
You said in the past, you didn't say on this podcast obviously, but you said it. We've talked one on one before. You said you want to move more towards the consulting side. What it like? Are you
Yeah.
one? I don't know if you've heard of a platform called School. School is a platform that
Mm-mm.
basically you can host. You're teaching your information and then you're enrolling students. You know what I mean? Like so, you're
Okay.
teaching
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
owners. You're teaching business owners what you're doing for the lawyer, and then you're enrolling them to learn from you, and you can automate that and really
Right.
scale it up.
Yeah.
Is that something that interests you, or are you just more into the to
I
the
mean,
doing that?
potentially. I would potentially be interested in like teaching other people to do what I do. I think also though I would be even more interested. I think a bigger like financial tap for me instead of tapping into teaching other people to do what I do, I think would be tapping into showing businesses or maybe not showing them what to do, but just consulting with businesses like what are you currently doing? What should you be doing? Maybe even working with a business's social media. Maybe they have a full-time social media person and they bring me in to look at their plans, look at what they're doing, look at like what type of copy they're making, what type of photography they're doing. Because I think with content, it's like the whole big picture. Like it's not just like the image or just like the wording. It's like the image, the wording,
Yep.
all of the different things that go along. I could go on and on. There's a lot that goes into it. So it's not just like one thing. So I think to work with businesses would be a bigger financial like tap for me than to work with individuals. Just because
So you
businesses have
do,
more to
yeah, yeah.
pay,
So I'm more on the paid advertising side. You're more on the organic posting side. Why
Yes.
does a business need organic, and why do they hire you versus doing it themselves?
So most business owners, A, don't have the time to do it themselves, and B, they just don't really have the capacity. I did just meet with a potential new client today over lunch, and he has straight up said like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I know nothing about social media, and I've had so many business owners say that they just don't know what they're doing. And I think even if they know how to run their own personal page, I think it's completely different running a personal page to a business page. It's just not the same thing. And so, when I've had other business owners be like, oh, well, I have social media, I run my own Facebook, I'm like, it's just not the same thing. You're not producing quality photography, you're not producing quality graphics or copy, you're not really optimizing your like social schedule and your calendar for posting. So yeah.
Fair enough. I believe that time is everyone's enemy. You know what I mean? We even
Yeah.
lack time ourselves. So as a business owner, they're doing, even if they're doing like your lawyer, she's probably doing hundreds of thousands per month. She don't need to be spending time on
Yeah.
posting
And
her
it's like
content.
taking something, I'm always like, it's like everyone's good at something, right? It's like what one person's good at, someone like, I'm good at this. So like, let me take that off of your like plate. Let me handle all of it. I'll come to you with like to get content, like as far as if I want to take pictures of the client or the client doing, that when I worked with the bakery, I would take videos of her making the cakes and decorating the cakes and, doing interactive reels with her. So obviously there's like coordinating that, but she didn't want to bake the cake and make the reel. You know what I mean? And it like, she
Yep.
didn't want to do the photography of herself making the cake. So to have someone else there that can like do it all for you and you just pay them to do it, I mean, yeah, so I think most business owners just don't have the capacity as far as time or knowledge. And I think the time and the knowledge is what really keeps. And then the ones who do try to do it, they're just not going to do it very well. You know what I mean? They're going
Yeah,
to do the best they
they do
can.
it for a short time, and then they give up, and they're like, "This is not worth my time," and then they stop.
Yeah. And I almost can think like as consumers, like if you or I go to an Instagram page of a restaurant, for example, or a bar, and if they don't have someone who's running their social media, you can tell because it's like there'll be weeks in between posts, like none of it is coordinated together, none of it flows. Like it's really like kind of spotty, hit or miss as far as the quality. And it's not like aesthetically pleasing, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. If so, before we change topics, for those out there listening who potentially can work with you, like business owners who want to delegate their content creations and postings, how can they find you?
Well, I just started my business Instagram. Oh God. Okay. I just started my business Instagram. I have a business email. I'm working on my business website. Like I said, I started my business in September, so I'm about 6 months in. So it's like I have all the LLC and I have, the business bank account. I have all that settled, but I am kind of getting those last couple pieces as far as my own business social media. I do have a business email. But my business
Yeah,
email is just discoverymediamarketing@gmail.com. I am going to get, like I said, a business website and all that stuff going. It's just kind of like as soon as I took my business full time, I already had. It's not like I took my
yeah.
business full
I
time and then
mean,
was looking for clients. I already had a client. So for me, I just kind of jumped right
half the
into
time they're
it.
not
And
gonna really look at the website anyways. It's gonna be like, okay,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
a
But I
website.
do have I have such good examples of like the work. I mean, while I was in school, I ran my university's social media. So I ran the University of Nebraska Omaha's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram account. And so I did that for like a year and a half while I was an undergrad. So I've, done so many different types of businesses, I feel like at this point, and, and did a bar for 4 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Which
I've
the
done
bar
so
is
many.
what I want to kind of go back into the bar scene. Like, I'm glad you mentioned that
Mhm.
because share a story, share a bar story that like something from the bar that really like. I'll share one first. For instance,
Okay, tell me.
last weekend, I was pretty much the general manager last weekend.
You were the general
Yeah.
manager last weekend.
So
You were.
every day went good until Sunday. Sunday, if you've never worked Sundays at the bar, but the Sundays are the craziest
No.
days because it's just I feel like everyone's still drunk from Saturday and Friday. They just drink a few sips and they're drunk already on Sunday. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. But we had two incidents that really sparked off. Like they could have went bad. But one incident that really got under my skin was like I went to approach this couple that was arguing because I think the girl thought the guy was cheating on him. I went to approach them, and I mean I already should have known they're arguing, so it's probably gonna be like a hostile thing. Soon as I
Yeah.
approached them, like the dude just got instantly in my face. He's like, "Do you work here?"
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
no, bro, I don't work here. I'm only telling you to quit yelling in my bar because I don't work here. Like how how stupid can people be sometimes? So
Oh
before I
my
could even
gosh.
say anything, Chris, the door guy here, he pulled up. He's like, what's going on here? He's like, do you work here? He said the same thing to him. He's like, do you work here? He's like, I'm head of security. Anyways, it turned out to be some big incident that didn't need to be as big as it was, and
Oh
he got
man.
thrown out. Cops chased him down the road. There was something before that could have escalated. People were throwing up. Like it was crazy. So like,
Um,
what's one story that like
I have
you,
so many and this is gonna age me. This is gonna totally let everyone know how old I am. But I have been bartending for 10 years. During that 10-year time, there might have been like 6 months where I didn't bartend, but I bartended um, from before I was 21. So I also wasn't 21 yet when I started. Started in Nebraska. With the amount of good bar stories I have, honestly, I feel like one of my favorites, and this actually happened back in Nebraska. This is just something that has always stuck with me. I was bartending on a Thursday night. I was the only bartender on Thursday nights at this neighborhood lounge, upscale lounge, and had a good handful of people at the bar that I was taking care of. There's a pizza place right next door, and I would always order myself pizza. That was something I did all the time, and so I would, they knew me over there. They would bring it down to me, and it was great. After working there for so many years, I had a pizza that I just ordered sitting at the end of the bar, and I'm helping customers. And I look up and I look over, and there is a intoxicated, drunk person eating
Dang.
my pizza, straight up eating my
Dang.
pizza. I have never felt so offended in my entire life. I just think for someone to touch and take someone else's food without asking, and if he would have asked me for a piece of pizza, even though it was a small personal one, I would have given him a slice because I'm nice like that. But he didn't ask. He did not ask at all. And so I just looked up and he was eating my pizza. And for whatever reason, that really stuck with me because I just cannot ever imagine touching and eating someone else's food. I feel like that is
Yeah,
so
no,
rude.
that's
But I've
crazy.
experienced it all. I've experienced it all. I mean, I think any crazy like bar story you can tell me or like you can imagine, I've had happen. I mean, I've broken up multiple fights before. I mean, I did bottle service for a while in Nebraska also. That's not when I broke up fights. It was when I was managing a bar. But yeah, I've experienced it all. People like not trying to pay or, cards won't go through. I mean, anything, yeah, couples fighting. I've seen that. Couples trying to take me home, seen that. Like I've pretty much experienced it all, I think.
Speaking of couples taking you home, a
Oh
big
God.
influence in my life is Andrew Tate. You already know this.
Yes.
Andrew Tate is the top G. With that being said, he has a lot of stories and like quotes and topics about masculinity. What's your viewpoints on that? Like, what makes like that masculine man? Like, you're for instance, you're a business owner. You're like you're independent. You know what I mean? You're an independent woman,
Yeah.
and it's probably gonna take someone at a certain level to really to get your attention. You get guys
Yeah.
hitting on you at the bar. I already know. You know what I mean? Like guys like
Yeah.
take random shit like, oh here, or just leave their
Yeah.
number on the receipt. Like,
Right.
what's your take on Andrew Tate? You like him? You dislike him?
I mean, I don't feel like I have watched him enough or heard enough of what he's had to say. I do know that you really like him. I don't feel like I've watched enough of his videos to decide if I like him or not, don't like him. I think I've just like heard about him and heard things about him. So I don't feel like I am in a position to make an opinion on him. But as far as the masculinity thing, as far as like, um, I think a lot of times, I guess my only opinion on this would be like a lot of times I think men want to be leaders and they want the woman to follow. And I think my opinion on that would be like for a woman that is independent, that has her stuff together, that, doesn't have any need for a man, just wants a man. I think that for a woman to follow a man, that he has to be like worth following. So I think if that, like,
And what
to
is that?
me,
What makes him worth following? What makes him worth following?
I think making wise choices, I would honestly say would be like top of the list. Like someone who's making like irrational, irresponsible, like impulsive decisions is not a man. I think that like a man is going to be like cool, calm, and collected. They're going to think their decisions and their thought processes through before they like act on it. I mean, I think like success is kind of like goes without being said. Like is successful, a hard worker. And I think success can look different, in different stages of life. But I think that really they need to be masculine, in my opinion. It's not about like how many times a week you go to the gym, or like how much protein you're consuming in a day. It's like how do you lead as a leader? Like, are you someone that
Hmm.
I would like want to follow? And are you like rational and just like level minded? Because men do mature slower than
Yeah,
women. It
no,
just
that's
is a
pretty
thing.
solid, honestly. Because you would think that
Yeah.
it would come from like the muscles or the nice car
No.
or something like that.
No. You could
You
be in like a
mentioned
junker
you mentioned
car.
yeah, you mentioned irrational decisions, and out of everyone that's been on the podcast, I've only had two people on here. You have seen me drunk.
Yes,
You have seen me drunk, and you've
I
seen how
have.
I act when drinking. You know, I mean, if you want to tell people how I act, then you can tell them real quick because I mean, this is gonna live forever on YouTube. But well, you want to say something first?
Yeah, I would say that you are someone who shouldn't drink alcohol. Like as a bartender, as an experienced bartender, as someone who, has also consumed alcohol, I drink socially. I'm not like an alcoholic by any means, but as someone who consumes alcohol and also serves alcohol, I would say there's certain people who just shouldn't drink alcohol. And respectfully, I would say you're one of those people who just shouldn't drink alcohol. I think that you are a totally different person, like not in a good way when you drink. Like it's funny to a certain extent the way that you act when you're drinking, like it's somewhat entertaining, but I think the entertainment is like short-lived and it quickly turns into like it's just not the best look for you. Like I think that you
Yeah,
are like
no,
level-headed and
I agree
smart.
with you. I
Yeah.
agree with you. The reason I'm asking that is, which leads to my next question: alcohol and business. Is there like,
Yeah.
you've kind of found a balance in it, but do you see at any
Yeah.
point in your business and lifestyle where you're like, man, I might need to cut back. I might need to cut
I've
back on
always
this.
said, and I've experienced this, so I think this is something I've like learned through. If if alcohol is ever affecting some type of opportunity, if it's affecting you negatively in any type of way, if it's affecting you negatively, you shouldn't be drinking. And there has been times 5+ years ago where I do think that it affected me negatively, and I do think that it again, wasn't an alcoholic, wasn't like abusing it. But I think that if you're drinking and it's like ruining your next day, if you feel like complete crap the whole next day, was it worth drinking the night before? Like if it makes you wake up late to get to work or to study for a test or whatever the case may be, if it's affecting you negatively, then you shouldn't be drinking. You know what I mean? So I think that
Yeah.
I've learned
For
that like
instance,
firsthand.
this is me personally, from not drinking for 14 months, thank God.
Yeah, good
Um,
job. I'm so proud of you.
thank
Honestly, I
God.
really am.
Um,
Good job.
but now when I look at business owners, like that's one thing I'm looking at. Like for instance, like working with potential customers, I'm not gonna mention the business. I was gonna work with a specific business, but then I realized that they're out at the bar drinking. I like don't have solid advice, but I firmly believe they're doing drugs,
Hmm.
and that's just not the kind of business that I want to work with. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that I was down that path, because it really opens my eyes for future clients to see like like, because alcohol, like if you're at that level, you're gonna be all over the place. Your business
Yeah.
will show like what you're doing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you have like,
Well, I think to have like a business meeting, like I've had two business meetings this week, and well, I guess at the first one I actually didn't have a drink, but at one of the two business lunches, I did have a glass of rosé, and I think having a glass of champagne in a business meeting, I think, or wine or whatever, I think that's totally like still can be professional and responsible, but I think that it's like I think business and alcohol can mix if you have self control and can do it responsibly, but I just think that the second that the alcohol affects any business or education or any good thing in your life negatively, then that's when you should like cut back or consider like stopping
yeah,
for a while. And I
no,
will
I
say,
agree. Because yeah, for me, alcohol.
firsthand.
Yeah, I was going
Yeah, go
backwards. I
ahead.
was like doing like 5 steps forward, and I would be like 20 steps back, and I'll be like 5 steps
Right,
forward and 20 steps back. Even lost my marketing agency when I first moved to Austin, because I was
right,
making decisions. I wasn't just going out getting a glass of wine. I was going out and partying all weekend. Like, you know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Or I would get off work. I know this might have happened to you before, where you get off work and then you get stuck there, and you're like, "Fuck, why am I here at 3 a.m. drinking?"
yeah,
You just
right.
kind of get sucked into
Yeah.
the environment. So
I will
yeah,
say though, from my
drinking is a
experience, what I would say taking breaks though is something that's if you want like a good balance, and I blame this on being a Libra, maybe it's not because of me being a Libra, but I'm all about balance. And I think that, I mean, this firsthand that I'll do, a couple months out of the year where I won't drink at all. So like maybe January, March, July, and October, I just won't drink those months, and it'll just be on like the spur of the moment. But I'm like, okay, like I'm coming up into April, for example. Like I think I'm just gonna do like no drinking for the month of April. And honestly, I think most years I do at least 3 or 4 months out of the year where I don't drink for those 30 days. And I think it's a nice like refresh for your system physically, but I think mentally, like it just kind of gives you that like refresh and reset. I think that if people are just constantly drinking all year long, it will start to
Mhm.
like affect you. and obviously you could go no drinking at all like you've done, but I
Okay,
would
yeah, if
say
I can
that
do it,
the
you can do it. And not you, but anyone can do it.
but yeah, right. But like you can either do the no drinking thing like you are, but also I think not drinking a couple months out of the year is like another good option. Like for someone who's like, I don't want to be completely sober, but I do want to take a break from alcohol, do a 30-day break, do a 30-day cleanse. Like that would
Well, we work
definitely
at the
be,
bar, so we see I guess it's more different for us because we work at the bar. We see the real effects
yeah,
that drinking has. The people who drink on the weekends, maybe they don't work at the bar, they're just out with their friends. They're
yeah,
and maybe they're getting drunk. They don't see the effects because they're not living in the environment. We live in the environment, so we see what happens. We for sure
right,
we've lost two people that we know of because of drugs and alcohol.
right. Yeah,
So
yeah,
with that
right,
being said, like you said, if it's not going to benefit you, me personally, I haven't found a way for it to benefit me because if I
right.
drink like one drink, I'm an Indian, so I get wild. I get wild.
It's
I want to
terrible.
drink more and
0 out of 10 recommend Marcos
do
drinking.
crazy things. What does success mean to you? Like at the end of your life, you're like, I was successful. Like, what does that mean? What accomplishments are those?
I made an impact and I made a difference in people's lives. Truthfully, I think that that's like one of those like um, pageant kind of answers. Like I want world peace, but like truthfully, I think that to make an impact or a difference in someone's life, I just think that and I know I've already done that to this point, but I'm always like looking for like that bigger impact on like the most amount of people. Like how can I help the most amount of people in the I don't want to say the shortest amount of time, but like the most efficiently? Like how can I make the biggest difference in the world? And I think that we all only have so many days, and if I would want to use them to help people and to be a positive like impact on the community and on the world. And I used to say I'm going to be in a history book one day, and even if that doesn't happen, even if I'm not in a history book, as long as I know that I made the difference in like one person's life, I think that it was like a life well lived. Like my
Well,
pageant
all you need to
answer.
do is be on social media nowadays. That's the new history book. Social media is the new history book. Uh, I have a question about mentors because learning about you like in the past and at work and stuff like that doesn't really seem like you really buy a lot of courses and stuff like that and learn from people like that.
No.
How were you able to really get ahead and get to the next level, get customers and things like that without doing like what most people? It's the norm to go and hire a consultant or a coach or like even me, I hired Jerry
Yeah.
to teach me digital
Right.
marketing. Like how
Yeah.
what where
I
does that like,
I honestly, sometimes I feel like maybe I should have. Maybe I should have done that at some point in my like undergrad or, post graduation, like right when I was graduating from college in 2019. Would it have been beneficial for me to have some type of, hired coach or personal like mentor that I could call on things and talk to about things? I do think that that would have been like a positive thing for me. I will say though, I think that my sister has honestly kind of always been like my mentor, and she's kind of always been the person that I go to for like sound advice or to bounce like ideas off of. Like with me starting my business, I mean, she was a huge like pillar and like pushing me to do that and being like, you can do this, like you got this now, like you've checked all the boxes, you've crossed all your T's, dotted all your I's, like you're ready, and really kind of gave me that encouragement and that boost to know that I could do it. I think the benefit to having it be my sister, for her being like my main mentor, is that she knows like my like morals, she knows my ethics, she knows my values. So I think the fact that we obviously like grew up together, came from the same parents, she knows like who I am at my core. So I think
yeah.
she's really able to help me and guide me, and I have a lot of respect for her. She's an accountant. She got her degree in accounting. She's a stay-at-home mom now, but that's what she did do for her, career when she did work. And so I think that she's able just to give me a different perspective on things. But she's kind of always really been my main mentor, honestly.
But how do you know what to charge? You know what I mean? Like when you're doing your marketing and stuff like that, how did you know what to charge your customer?
I mean, I definitely feel like I have done some research online, but then also just again networking. So I've met other social media consultants and kind of got an idea, ballpark idea as far as what they were charging their clients, and I think that that kind of helped guide me you know, the specific person I'm thinking of, they were right out of college and didn't have any experience. And I kind of got an idea of what they were charging. And I'm like, okay, well, I've been doing this for, you know, 10 years. I did it before college, during college, and after college, and I have the degree in it. So I kind of was able to gauge what I could charge based on like what they were charging. But I think also there's so much information online, and you can pretty much, you know, look up, there's tools and resources online you can look up based on your experience, based on your, you know, degree or whatever, like what you should be making in certain fields. And, you know, I would say when you're owning your own business, you should be making for sure more than what like a business would pay you, you know, because you are doing it for, you know,
Yeah.
yourself. So, yeah.
You mentioned network. Do you believe your network is your net worth?
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
I do think it's all about who you surround yourself with. I think in the past, when I've surrounded myself with friends who are comfortable just working one job, or they're comfortable, you know, doing the bare minimum or going into debt and putting things on their credit card, I think that it's easy to like-minded people are with like-minded people. And I think that if, you know, whenever I'm around the people who are, you know, they have degrees, and it's not just about having a degree, but they have college degrees, and they're, you know, either having their own business, or they have a very good position at like the company they work for, or are in some way, somehow they're improving and they're working on self-improvement. And that's my biggest thing is I don't think the people that I'm, you know, in network with need to be on this like super scale level, that they're like multimillionaires with like owning a ton of properties and having like a doctorate and a law degree. I mean, it's nothing that's like crazy. I just think that, are they working to self-improve? Like, are they looking
Hmm.
for ways to constantly be better than they were the day before? And I've always said too, like a year from now, you can either be in the same position you are now, or you can be in a lot better of a position. And I think that when you're friends with certain people and around certain people, they're comfortable being in the same place every
Yep.
year. They're comfortable with that. They're not looking to expand or grow or to start investing money or to start, you know, start their own business. They're comfortable just working their 40 hours a week, barely making ends meet. And for me, working 3 jobs obviously shows that, but I want to do better. I want to be better. I want more for my life. And I think the only way I'll get more for my life is by doing more. And so, you know, blood, sweat, and tears, no sleep. You know, I feel like I've been tired for 3 years and I'll just
No,
continue to
same.
be
I don't think
tired.
I
But
feel like I don't ever actually recover. Uh,
right.
what advice would you give your 18-year-old self? If you had to go back, what's that advice that would really catapult you to the next level? Like at 18, you know what I mean? What would really
Yeah.
like give you that unfair advantage if you could go back and give yourself that one piece of advice?
I have thought about this, and honestly, I think I wish I just would have done it. My advice to my 18-year-old self would, I would look at myself and I'd be like, Courtney, just do it. Just do it. Don't wait for the right time. Don't wait till you have a certain amount of money saved. Don't wait. And, you know, because I didn't start college until I was, you know, 23, 24, and then graduated at 28, 29. So, you know, 4 years, 4.5 years to graduate. And I think for me, like I waited so long to start. I wish I would have started college, hindsight. I wish I would have gotten like 2 years work experience. I wish by like 20, I would have started college. And by like 24, I would have graduated. And then I think I would have been, you know, working for a couple years. And then I would have started my own business by 26 instead of starting my own business at, you know, 32. However, I do think that everything happens for a reason. And I think that everything I've learned so far in my life has brought me to where I'm at today. But if I could tell any 18-year-old any piece of advice, it would be to just jump, like just jump in the cold water. It's way easier to just jump in and figure out how to swim as you're swimming than to like tap your toe in. It's really cold. I don't want to get in. Well, yeah, it is cold, but like the sooner you jump in, the sooner you can just get used to that water and you can, you know, make it happen. But I would say that's
Yeah, I
advice
feel like
isn't
a lot
also
of
for
that fear, like,
everybody.
yeah, I feel like yeah, I feel like a lot of that fear is just made up in your head too. Because like, there's plenty of
Yeah.
times where I was like, I need more money, or I need like more time, or something like that. But
Yeah.
it was it's the same. For instance, when I moved
Yeah.
to Austin, I was like, I need to save at least 5K. But then I did it without saving
Yeah.
5K, and I survived. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Right. Yeah, totally. I think just doing it. And then I think just trusting your own instincts and trusting your like gut and your intuition. I think there's definitely been quite a few times in my life that I just didn't trust my gut instinct, or I didn't trust my intuition. But I feel like 99.9% of the time I was right, you know, and I should have just went with my instincts. I should have just went with what I felt. But sometimes I think that you have that self-doubt and you're like unsure. And I think just to give yourself a little bit more, trust. But yeah, I think to just jump and just do it. And also for just life experiences, I think like sometimes when someone's like such a perfectionist and works so hard all the time, like they don't really have those like screw it moments where they're like, yeah, like let's just like go. I think just I wish I at 18 and through my 20s would have lived my life a little more I don't want to say carelessly because that's not right, but just kind of like had a
Take
little
more
bit
risk.
more freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, had like a little bit more freedom and not felt so like everything needs to be so planned out and thought through and like, just so perfect. Like that's just not how life is.
No, that makes sense. 100%. So is there anything else you would like to share? Anything that maybe I didn't cover that you want to
Oh,
share?
interesting. Um, no, I don't think so. I'm trying to think. I feel like there probably is, but I won't think of it until later.
Yeah.
I'm
No, we
like, I
covered a
should have
lot.
said that.
This was very smooth, a very smooth
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah, no, I think that we covered a lot of good stuff. I mean, talking about like the business and the bar and how those like intertwine and like the potential of like me trying to go to law school. And I think just talking about like alcohol and decisions and making good decisions. And yeah, I mean, I feel like we covered a lot of really good stuff. So I'm excited to see what you make out of it, but I can't like think of
I'm gonna make a something good out of it. I'm gonna turn it. I'm gonna pause it.